where were we? Oh yes, my great piece of detective work at the lottery. I was on a real high when I was, as ever, brought down to earth with a resounding crash with a call from the vicar, who was in a coin box at the airport in Scotland. He told me to ring Breamore and invite him to dinner on the boat.
Tell him 8 o'clock sharp. He will no doubt claim to have a prior arrangement, so tell him that Gooder Walker should give him ample reason to be on time. Have you got that? Oh, and pray do not mention that there will be any other guests. We will leave that as a pleasant surprise.
He was not impressed by my suggestion that he might perhaps make the call himself, saying that he was running out of change and they had a plane to catch. How bloody convenient, I thought. So, for the second time in the day, I found myself talking to Breamore. He did indeed say that he was otherwise engaged. He tried to humour me.
Tell David that it's very kind of him to invite me aboard his luxurious cruiser.
Something about the way he said luxurious made me suspect that he'd visited the boat before.
But it's quite impossible. I have a most important prior arrangement that is simply impossible to move, however much I would like to.
I could almost imagine the greasy, insincere smile that would have come with that last phrase. He was saying polite things, but making it quite clear that what he really meant was, bugger off, you impertinent little SH1T. I have better things to do than mess around in the vicar's bathtub. So, I repeated what the vicar had said about Gooder Walker. This caused an instant change of attitude.
What exactly do you know about Gooder Walker?
Absolutely nothing, I replied quite truthfully.
And so, what did David mean by it?
I have absolutely no idea, I replied, feeling that my genuine ignorance was probably my best protection against some unknown fate.
And so why does he think that these magic words will bring me to dinner?
I'm sorry, I'm merely the messenger. I know nothing more than I've already told you.
How bizarre, because I know no more than you do.
But you do, I thought, or you wouldn't still be talking to me.
David obviously feels he's found something of immense importance. I would hate to let him down. I will see what I can do about this evening. Can you hold on a minute?
The line went dead, and I was no doubt meant to imagine that he was trying to cancel his most important prior engagement. The power play was clearly with the vicar, and there was no doubt what Breamore was going to say next.
I'll be there, 8 o'clock sharp. Tell him to prepare something decent.
This time, the line really went dead. The taxi carrying the vicar arrived at the boat at 10 to 8. This gave him just enough time to shower and put on some clean clothes before preparing to welcome his guests.
My, we have been a busy beaver,
he said, surveying the dinner preparations. The caterers had brought in a table, chairs, tablecloth, silver cutlery, the lot.
I was imagining something a little less lavish, perhaps. A TV dinner spilled over our laps, but your career as a butler has not started at all badly. Perhaps you had better consider changing your sexual proclivities.
He rearranged the flowers that had been put near the wheelhouse entrance.
Unfortunately,
he said, looking at the 4 places laid on the table,
the butler will not be able to eat with us. I personally will be most happy to have your company, as indeed I always am.
He bowed slightly to me as he said this,
but I rather suspect that I would never be forgiven for allowing lesser mortals to hear what is going to be said. In fact, I'm not sure that I will be forgiven full stop.
He went down into the saloon and began to clear away the 4th place.
However, if you were to stay a while so as to help our guests make the treacherous journey from the quayside along the death trap of a pontoon and see them safely onto the boat, that would be most useful. We will be doing sufficient injury to our guests' pride without injuring their persons as well.
He folded up my chair and gave it to me.
After that, I fear, I will have to give you the night off. Whether you wish to go into the city or sample the nightlife of Hampstead is entirely up to you.
He looked at me in a conspiratorial way, like a schoolboy planning a midnight feast. Punksters in the great US of A may not be fully familiar with our strange tradition of toffee-nosed jolly hockey sticks, pillow fights in the dormitory, late nights with matron, boarding schools, so beloved of the old BBC British TV shows. In which case, you get to go hungry. Scrap the references to midnight feasts.
If, of course, the vicar went on, you were to choose to stay closer to home and happen to overhear some of what was said, that would be entirely beyond my control.
He looked at me in the eyes to see that I was following his meaning.
Now, perhaps, you had better show me what delightful food I have been preparing with my long hours sweating over a hot stove.
I showed him what was in the various pans, under the grill and in the oven, and did my best to hide my immense disappointment. After doing all that work, I'd certainly expected to join them rather than be turfed out in the cold. Bugger this life as a butler, I thought. Who the hell would do this for a living? I was just planning my future career as a revolutionary when a car drew up on the gravel outside, and I went out armed with a powerful torch to try and shepherd the prospective lamb to the slaughter. It was Billy G. She'd arrived in a 2-seater Vauxhall, coloured metallic orange to match her hair. Flash, but not one of those really expensive sports cars that I used to pin up on my wall and salivate over. Salivate, not masturbate, you perverts. Who ever heard of someone masturbating over a car? Except Jeremy Clarkson, perhaps. Billie G certainly had not dressed up for the occasion. Underneath a long Nazi-style leather coat, she was wearing jeans with the obligatory split in the knee and an untucked white shirt. No doubt, expensive stuff, but hardly your designer dresses, all horribly sensible for an evening on a boat. God, how I hated all this sensibleness. The vicar's disease must be catching, I thought. I lit the way along the pontoon as best I could and showed her the way up onto the boat. My God, so it really does exist, she said in that fantastic accent of hers. But hey, it's not nearly as Heath Robinson as I expected. Clearly, someone had had the good sense to warn her what to expect. And I bet I'm not the first lovely lady to be lured out here. Should I have brought my bodyguards with me? We went up onto the back deck where the vicar had come out into the dark to meet her. He took her hand and ceremoniously kissed it.
Dark was the night, as pitch or as the coal, and at the window out she put her hole. And Absalom, him it befell no better or worse, but with his mouth he kissed her naked arse, full savourily, before he knew what it was.
He always pronounced Chaucer in such a way that it wasn't possible to work out exactly what he was saying, which is usually a good thing.
Welcome on board the Betsy, he went on. If you have survived the shark-infested swamps of Hampstead and our peculiarly man-eating pontoon, then I doubt anything inside will hold any perils for you.
That boy's not cool, not so cool. He's got ears the size of a deer face, vocal nose and a twisted face, with a voice
I heard on the radio driving here that the Japanese have discovered that clenching your buttocks 100 times a day is an excellent cure for depression, and you have such fine buttocks. Come on, let's try. She held her arms up and began to close her buttocks in a sort of comic dance, somewhere between suggestive pelvic thrusts and someone struggling with constipation. What I saw made me sick to the bottom of my stomach.